I come from a technology background, engineer by training, but most of my career of 30 years has been in product companies, especially telecom. So I started with radio pager all the way now to 5G and been in different functions in our organization, be it software or software testing or installation or sales or introduction of a concept, convincing a Airtel or a Verizon or AT&T. So this is a full process of soup to nuts, as they call it, or bringing a concept to a product form and helping people adopt it, or convincing people why they should adopt that. Why should I even think about any product? That's a typical business model for any entrepreneur. That's a typical challenge, and that's a good challenge, because you will have to get convinced so that you can convince others. So education system has to take care of convincing the student and then helping the student with tools to convince others. Right? Only then it can propagate, it can spread. So that's a long journey, it's a long drawn battle, but it's a good battle to have. At least it keeps us occupied doing the right things for the purpose we as human beings are on this earth. That is one point. The second is, how do we convince people? Today we point to some success stories, and for whatever reason we point to success stories in the West, institutions or businesses, or how business models have worked, how people have made money. So there are many success stories happening. So I'll come from that angle first. So in the last 5-6 years in my profession, I have done market research of technology companies worldwide. And I have been, as a market research, we have to publish reports of what is the 5-year trend, 7-year trend, how much money will be spent to build what kind of technology, so on and so forth. So in this, specifically if you think about Indian knowledge systems, while I do the market research on technology, I can see a pattern. So in 2017, and it is still alive, there is a company called Conscious Hacking. So there is a hackathon where you create products, software products, to recreate nirvana state. And for that there is at least $4 to $5 billion funding to create products. So the founder of that company, he is a MIT professor, a MIT student, PhD, and then professor in robotics. He said he came to India to some ashram and he sat there, and then there was a aha moment of some happiness, and he said, oh, I don't need a religion to create this happiness, I can recreate this happiness scientifically. That is his point of view. But the fact that he got a taste of IKS even without studying IKS, by being in ashram, that itself tells the power of this land and the knowledge which it gives. The knowledge is actually living in action today. You take Steve Jobs, he said he came to Neem Karoli Baba ashram and he got some motivation. Then Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, he had a problem, he went to Steve Jobs, he said go to this ashram. Neem Karoli Baba is not there, but the ashram is there. And these people spent 1 month or whatever, they got clarity and came back. They did not study IKS, they did not study Sanskrit. So the argument will be, then why should I study IKS? That argument needs to be broken into pieces and investigated. Because of the IKS which is living on the streets, in villages, in families, in houses, there is a certain level of vibration which is running this country or this land called Bharat. That is why just sitting in 1 month, for 1 month in an ashram, he gets clarity. He doesn't get ideas, he gets clarity of what I should do. That itself shows the power of IKS. Now that is used by those people for their clarity in business, and now they are successful. We don't need to say anything. This MIT scientist says consciousness, nirvana state. I don't need drugs, I don't need alcohol, I don't need whatever. I don't even need meditation. I can do something scientifically. That's the type of thinking he can afford because he's sitting in MIT. I'm not saying our entrepreneurs should follow that. I'm saying our entrepreneurs in India should realize the power of the knowledge which is already present, which is there in around us. And yes, educational system can bring it into structure and maybe make them aware of such Shastra or Indian knowledge system, etc., connection between engineering, medical, etc., etc. The type of thinking will be achieved by the educationists. But how do I inspire that student of IKS to go do something there? That is a challenge which is worth addressing, or that will, I think, complete the circle of this whole IKS movement happening. Right? So this is one example of consciousness hacking. I spoke about 2017. 2023 April, last month, there is a report which has come out that what are the top 10 technology trends. And in that there is healthcare, there is robotics, there is finance, tech, etc. Number 1 out of top 10. It's called immortality as a service. So if I were to convert it, Amrutatva as a service. Okay? There is a fund developed by Amazon owner Jeff Bezos. $3 billion of fund is set up. How do I get Amrutatva? It's not a joke. It is happening. People are putting money. In Saudi Arabia, there is a $1 billion fund. I want to reverse my aging. In Google Venture Capital Fund, there is a position for a vice president. That lady's name is Cynthia something. Her position is VP of Aging. VP of Aging, can you imagine that? But where are they getting these ideas from? It is out of their self, motivation, that I want to live longer, I want to live a happy life, I want to experience the joys. All that is already encoded in the way our family runs, the way our grandparents or the way our elders in a village. In a village, if you go, I won't say it is their kid or my kid, it is our kid, our child. A village, it takes a village to raise a child is a good saying in English. It actually works there. But the joy or happiness, etc., is happening with its own flavor. Salt, sweet, spice, everything is happening. But here in the West, they have specific $3 billion just to offer immortality as a service through medicine, let's say. Can we create some cells or genes or genomes which will reverse our aging? But how do you reverse the mental aging? So these things, what is motivating them? So that is my question. They are not worried about they know IKS or they don't know IKS. They are worried about achieving that happiness, and they want to explore. That hunger is there. So whoever takes up IKS as a course, as a hobby or out of interest or as an educational degree, all that should lead into a hunger. How do we create that hunger? Right? How do we create that hunger? If that person says, I am happy with my Netflix, I am happy with my 10 GB a day data plan, or I am happy with my car, house, etc. How do I create a hunger to do something about IKS? That will be a good challenge to have, and that needs some thinking. That is what I call it as the go-to-market problem of IKS. It is a huge opportunity. Now, how do we create hunger? We have to go back to the basics of how a human person interacts with other humans. Engagement. So engagement means user experience. So how do I give a human an experience about let's say Vastu Shastra or Jyotisha or Artha Shastra or Nyaya Shastra or any Shastra or Sanskrit Vyakarana? How do I give him a user experience so that he gets that hunger to do something for happiness, and then he inspires other people also to come on board for this. That's a long problem, but ultimately this user experience engagement will be the key. Who can do the it's, for lack of a better word, I'm using the word marketing. Who can do the marketing of the real power of Indian knowledge? Not even IKS, just the Bharatiya Vichar or Bharatiya Drishtikon or Bharatiya Soch. How do we get that message out there? That it's not just about, hey, it's worth trying. It's not about that. Hey, you do this and you will, be on the journey to find your own happiness. It is worthwhile. So that's a good problem to have, and that I think because of the way Bharatiyas communicate with each other, you go to any tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, any city, any village, they know how to communicate whatever they want to communicate. So they are good at marketing at that grassroots level. So there is something which is ticking, something which is working. So this is one aspect of convincing somebody to get that hunger and do something about it. So for that, marketing, user experience, engagement, many things need to be done there. The second thing is to understand now that people like Google, Amazon, etc. are big organizations, companies. How are they running? They have their own model, standard operating procedure. Many books have been written, they have become bestsellers, etc. But if you think about how our knowledge has survived over thousands of years, from generation to generation, we call it parampara, sampradaya or mathas. How did they hand off? Right? There is a lot of handoff happening. There was no management book there. It is pure common sense of how things should be. And it is still happening. It's not like we lost it. It is still happening. You take organizations like Akshay Patra. Akshay Patra, how does it run? You take example like Kumbh Mela. Right? Yes, there is administration, there is a whole machinery which is put in place, but at the end of the day, on everyday basis, things are running. And if something wrong happens, there is a way to fix it there. So all these, and the scale at which Kumbh Mela happens is unimaginable, right? So this kind of a management view of how to run things. One is, if I inspire 100 people and I launch a startup as an entrepreneur, and I'm able to convince them, have a hunger and let's do something in IKS, how do I help them operate using management principles? That management principles also, it's there in IKS, but it's not there in a book per se. It is live in action. Can we do something about that? So these are two things, right? One is that go to market. Second is, even if I go to market, how do I inspire a team with that correct hunger and do things in a smooth way to figure it out? Self-governing principles. That is, why does Harvard come and study Mumbai Dabbawalas and do case study? And then there is a huge thing of they being taken to Harvard and they have to present and stuff. There is something happening somewhere. Dabbawalas did not learn Shastras, they did not know Sanskrit, but the guiding principles are coming from the Shastras, right? So there is a lot of opportunity on this whole go-to-market, user market adoption of the whole idea that it is Indian knowledge system is not something which is in an ivory tower somewhere special where we are bringing it from the mountain down to earth. We have to help people understand it. We are actually living it. We may even not know it. In our own lifestyle, in our own families, in our own interactions, we might be doing that Indian knowledge system. So that connection will be critical. On one hand, education, of course, is needed. Awareness is needed. But this awareness that, hey, you are actually living it. So that thing is worthwhile to explore. See, I remember one example my grandfather used to tell me that there was a farmer. There are like 5 farmers, they have fields next to each other, and this one particular farmer had the best crop. I mean, his crop will be like high quality. But every time the harvest happens, he will keep 5 bags out of the entire harvest and distribute to his fellow neighbors. So people asked him, why are you doing this? It is foolish. You have the best crop, right? The best seeds coming out. Why are you giving? He said, boss, if I don't give it to them, their weeds will affect my crop. So I need them also to have good crops. The problem today I feel is if the youth can think beyond themselves. Oh, it's just me, I need to launch a startup, or I need to have a good job so that it's my family and I need to take care of my relatives or my closed ones, relatives, whatever, loved ones. Me, mine, that has to break. Yes, there has to be common sense. We cannot just open doors and let everybody come in. But there has to be common sense that if you are working in an environment, then you need to be smart and make sure those people around you or things or situations, environment should not create problem for you. So how do you do that? That I think that kind of knowledge is also missing. So it's not necessarily a problem, but it has turned into a problem where the youth are not able to see beyond my survival, right? So that I think needs to happen at that youth level. They need to gain confidence that yes, they can do it and they can survive. That smartness is missing. We are in the West. I have seen they are very smart. Oh, why go West? You take a sabji vendor, vegetable vendors. There are 5 vegetable vendors. All of them will have the same. There is a Harvard study for that. 5 kirana mal dukans in the same street, they will compete, but they will all be together only, because they know if they are together, their sales will increase. There is a logic to that. That mentality, if we can tell the youth, there is no need to be afraid. You can jump in. If I have 5 digital marketing companies, no problem, right? There is enough food for everybody. It's not like if somebody got an order, I will miss out something. There is enough opportunity. That how do I get the confidence? How does the youth get the confidence that there is enough opportunity? Right? You go to Dadar in Mumbai, there will be 5 vada pav walas on the same street. They are not worried about their business going down. They know how to deal with it. So this kind of a mentality of fear and protectivism, survival, all that needs to, I think, dissolve in their minds. It's all in the mind there. I think there is enough, risk which is being taken by institutions where they are going to offer Indian knowledge system. That happened for the last 10 years. Now with the present, the education policies, they are getting that boost that, okay, whatever they were doing was good. So there is a provision for IKS kind of curriculums. One of the key things I would say is hands-on experience of these IKS systems which children or youngsters are going to learn. How do we create like Atal Tinkering Labs is there for all the vocational people. Is there some tinkering labs for IKS, right? Where you can actually practice something and test it out. A Vastu Shastra of a temple or a house or a Jyotisha or a Nyaya Shastra. You don't have to be a Shastra expert. Traditional scholars, they have their place in the society. But at our levels, where we are just getting introduced to IKS concepts, can we try it out and see what does it actually mean to implement IKS or to live a IKS lifestyle? So some projects, some internships, I think will be critical for the success of such educational programs, unless there is a practical hands-on opportunity there to live that Shastra, not just to know it. Only then they will have value for it, right? So that will be critical, and if the curriculum includes that, then it will be a whole rounded approach. Yeah, one of the first institutions for, School of Vedic Sciences itself was a huge step. Now there is IIKs within MIT. So there is enough opportunity with the new initiatives where it's an open field, green field, and I think the management is also open to try new models of learning, try new models of teaching, of experiencing. So there is an opportunity there. By default, I am an optimist. So no matter what the situation is, I will always say that there is always room to improve, or there is room for new things to try. If we have reached some level of maturity, then let's say we have now figured out how to give English education or Western education. We have figured it out. We have so many students who can achieve IIT, IIMs, right, or IISc. So many students, brilliant students who, just yesterday or day before, there was a note of Maharashtra for UPSC. There was a girl, a CM fellow, and then there are so many students who said, at my 5th attempt I passed. So there is enough talent, and there is enough, I wouldn't say even hope, there is enough opportunity, optimist there, that they will do something. Now for such kind of people, if there is a way to give direction or ideas or suggestions, I think that's where the real challenge will be, right? So education as a vehicle to give them those ideas is the opportunity. Next 5, not just 5, I would say 10 to 15 years is like a golden period for us to leverage that, right? So enough opportunity for education to have a blend of whatever we have had so far, change perspectives, that the end of education is not necessarily a job there. It's your building your own self there. I think as long as people get confidence in that by various methods, then things will definitely go in the right direction.